Hello, thank you, and welcome to this AudioCast series entitled Your Path to Greatness, designed to bring you daily power. Here we share daily insights, wisdom, and knowledge that can increase the quality of your life right now. This is audio number 1. Bradley LeNart here, the author of Your Path to Greatness, also the founder of Bradley Life Systems. You know, we could all stand to reinforce insight, wisdom, and knowledge about how to increase the quality of our lives. And this is exactly what we do here. Why? Simply because the more understandings we have about life and success, and the more we can reinforce these principles within ourselves, the more effectiveness we can generate daily as individuals. So today we're going to speak a little bit about communication. Now, the reason why I chose this subject in this first audio is simply because with proper communication skills, we can change our lives. Whether it be within our family, our friends, or in our businesses, the truth is the entire quality of our lives really does come down to the quality of our communications with people. The better we can work out our communication skills, the more power, influence, and clarity we will attain each and every day. Communication is power, my friends, and communication is intelligence. Most of all, nowhere is communication more important than it is within our romantic relationships. So I specifically chose this subject simply because this is one of the most important subjects we can endeavor in. Now, the very first step to better communication is first finding out not only what the other person wants, but getting very clear on exactly what you want. You see, how can we expect to get to the bottom of any communication if we simply haven't communicated our needs to the other person, and we haven't found out the needs of the other person? So many people waste countless hours and emotion floundering their time and focus with communication upsets, simply because they miss this very first most important step. Every single difficulty you've ever had with any other individual simply comes down to a communications upset. Simple, basic misinformation, otherwise known as a misunderstanding. You see, the truth is most people come from a good intent, and most people are not out there going out of their way to try and harm others. However, people do process information differently. People also have different needs, and people also have different ways of going about communicating those needs. In addition to this, many people go throughout their days not really knowing exactly what they are looking for within their communications. And here goes that old adage again that I always speak about that says, clarity is power. And to take this even a step further, most people have not even ever communicated within themselves about their own needs. You say, where you going with this, Brad? Yep, you guessed it. I'm talking about goal setting. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We must write out our goals on paper if we truly want to squeeze the juice out of life and tap into our greatest potential daily. And we must become very clear about the things we want to attain for ourselves specifically and day to day. We must stick to our own individual outcomes. Keep this as a magnificent obsession within ourselves and take this with us everywhere we go and with everything we do. You see, yes, even better communication starts with the simple basic fundamentals like writing our goals out on paper. Statistics tell us that less than 3% of Americans have written goals down. And as my man Tracey always says, everybody else works for them. If you truly want to get clear and become more effective in your life and in your relationships and your communications, write your goals down on paper. This creates clarity, my friends. You see, if we take the time to write our goals down, then in the back of our heads, we keep this with us everywhere we go and with everything we do. And within all our communications, something very powerful happens when we take the time to write out our top 6 or 7 goals on paper. We, in direct reflection of our Creator, become very powerful. Now, when it comes down to communication with people, most people want to be heard, but they lack within their listening skills. I'm sure you've never done this before, have you? Now, come on, give it up. We all do this, so admit it. You've been there. I know you have. I can hear you speaking back to me. But those of you who are familiar with my work, you know that I speak a lot about habits and how to create better and new habits. And just like anything, listening skills simply comes down to creating the habit to do so. But it first starts with a new awareness. Awareness that we all have the tendency at times to want to be heard without listening first. And here is where the real change can happen. If we begin creating the habit of focusing on what other people's needs are first, and then we speak and react accordingly afterward, then we have some real power for our lives. Give and you shall receive, my friends, and so it be the same within communications. We all must listen deeply first, and then we shall be heard. So, I reiterate, step number 1 is to know what you want. Step number 2 is to listen first. And step number 3 is to find out what the other person's needs are before speaking and before reacting. So the next logical question would be, how do we find out what the other person's needs are? Well, there are a few ways to do this, and I can't get into everything with you here in this short little audio, but for now, the very best way to do this is to simply ask. What am I talking about here? Well, one of my other favorite authors often talks about the power of questions, and questions are really very powerful, my friends. And I'll give you 3 good questions that can increase your capability to seek out the needs of the individuals you may be communicating with. Question number 1. What is it that you're trying to get out of this? I mean, just ask them what their outcome is. This way, you gently lead their focus continually back to their outcome. Question number 2. What is it that you need? We ask them this because it speaks again about their needs. And this question will again gently lead them to tell you what their needs are. This is very powerful, my friends. And question number 3 is, what is your desired outcome? Again, many people go off on tangents. They often go on and on. Sometimes it rarely has anything to do with their desired outcomes. As leaders, we must lead these people through questions, and this is how it's done, my friends. You see, with communication, it is the person who asks the best questions first who begins to lead the conversation. Now, most people you communicate with do not normally ever consciously think about better communication skills, so you must lead them by asking these questions. Remember, ask and you shall receive, and questions are power. So I have a question for you, and here it is. Why is it do human beings communicate? What is the purpose for human communication? Have you ever thought about this? Well, human beings communicate for 3 major reasons. Number 1 is for sharing. We all have a basic key core human need for connection. This is a need that is innate within us simply because human beings become more powerful by grouping together. This helps us in survival. It is actually a survival instinct. Number 2 is to change our feelings or to vent stress or anger. And last but not least, most importantly, number 3 is to create a result. Now, I'll say that again. To create a result. As I have said previously in this audio, before we speak and before we communicate with people, we must know our desired result or our outcomes. Get clear, my friends, about yourself and clear about other people's needs, and watch your life take on a whole new power. I want to thank you so much for joining me here in this Path to Greatness AudioCast series. Take these simple little principles with you today with everything you do and everywhere you go. Focus on them. Use them for your benefit, for yourself and your friends and your family. See you in the next audio. Live full throttle, and we'll see you soon. Bradley LeNart signing out.